House on the Left and The Hills Have Eyes, the original, both of these being the originals, of course. Yep, some great movies he made. But I did notice, Chuckles, and I don't know if you have an opinion on this, that Wes Craven was known mostly, and he did other things. Like when I was looking at your list of credits for Wes Craven, he did other things besides horror. But he's known mostly as a horror director in the horror genre. And then I got to thinking about some other directors the same way, like John Carpenter, Tobe Hooper. And the thing I noticed most about all of them is that they made 2 or 3 incredibly great horror movies. And then the rest of it is kind of, if it doesn't all exactly suck, it's not
right.
It's not consistently great.
You're not going to go out of your way to buy it, but if it's on television, you're not going to change the station.
Right.
It's palatable.
And I just wonder why. So we got like 2 or 3 great horror movies from each director. Mm-hmm. And then I started thinking about other horror movies, both in the horror genre and other more famous movies. They don't like to call horror movies, but they are.
Yeah.
And it seems to me that all these great horror movies were made by directors either not associated usually with horror, or if they were, they made like 2 or 3 great ones, and then it was nothing much after that. Like Alfred Hitchcock, not really known for horror per se, made The Birds and Psycho, mm-hmm. and that was it.
And mystery movies after that.
Right, and his thing was like spies and suspense, but so he only made like 2 real horror movies. The same thing with Rosemary's Baby is one of my favorites. Creepy as hell, and Chuckles, by the way, has a great Rosemary's Baby. Which sooner or later, if I ever murder you, it won't be because I dislike you. It'll be because I want to get that little creature.
Oh, okay.
So just so you know. But yeah, now Rosemary's Baby was made by Roman Polanski, who made a couple of horror movies, and that was it. The Exorcist was made by William Friedkin, who went back and did, I think it was 3 total horror movies. Then he did other stuff. Yeah. Is there something about horror that it's kind of like you shoot your wad once, and then it's like not much afterwards? I don't know. Any thoughts on this?
No, I mean, there are directors out there that are known for making really good horror flicks.
Right, but how many, though? You know what I'm saying? Like, in other words, how many really, you see my point, how many really good ones?
There's one that I stick in my head is Clive Barker. He's known for, like, delivering you some really disturbed horror flicks.
Good point. Hellraiser,
Yep.
Hellraiser 2. But then after he did that, then keep in mind, though, he stopped directing.
Yeah, well, he put out Midnight Meat Train, which that thing was disturbing as all.
Now, did he direct that, or was that just he produced that?
I believe he directed that one.
Okay.
And that took, like 3 to 4 years to get into the United States because we kept banning it.
That was nasty.
Yeah.
That was.
That was a creepy, vile movie. And he's got other like little side projects that he did.
Nightbreed.
Yep.
Nightbreed was another one.
He also had a couple on the, the Horror Movie Masters of Horror that he put out, little 1 hour ones. Those are creepy, sinful movies. I definitely know that whenever he puts something behind it that's horror, you're getting what you get.
Yeah.
Right. Midnight Meat Train, the story was Clive Barker's,
right,
but the director, I can't pronounce his name, so I won't butcher it. Here you go, George.
Okay, let me do the honors. Okay. Directed by... I'm not going to take a chance on the first name, but the last name is Kitamura.
Okay.
My Godzilla movie watching stood me in good stead. So, yes, Director Kitamura.
Yeah, I couldn't get the first name. That's why I'm like, oh, no.
Actually, while you're at it, try, Google Kitamura, see if he did any other movies. Because if they're anything like the Midnight Meat Train, then we want to see them.
Here,
oh, yeah.
I'll use the bigger technology so I can read it better.
Who's another one I'm trying to think of?
I know you'll probably come up with one or two more, but it's not that easy, I'm telling you.
Right. I'm trying to think of his name, and it's just on the tip of my tongue, and I don't know why. Because I'm thinking of turkeys.
Kind of like that turkey.
Yeah, you beat me to the punch.
The gooses just went by again a minute ago.
Well, even if we go back in the day, I mean, James Whale directed the original Frankenstein. He did Bride of Frankenstein. Then, I don't know. Let's see. Then we had Robert Wise, who did a couple of them. There was a producer, Val Lewton, back in the 40s, who did a whole series of Curse of the Cat People, but he was a producer. He wasn't a director, even though he had a lot of creative control over his projects. So I don't know. While we think this over, let's go back to the music for a second. Let's listen to some Black Sabbath. How about from the first album, The Wizard, here on the Haunted Cabaret, Rhode Island Free Radio. All right, that was Black Sabbath, The Wizard, and I pride myself on the fact that I actually heard Black Sabbath perform that show in concert, and Ozzy actually played the harmonica solos, just like on that studio album. Oh. I think it was one of those phases where he had been sober for, a few months before, and after. So yes, I heard him play the harmonica and get those parts right for probably the only time in his life. since they recorded this originally. But yeah, while the music was on too, Nurse Misery's been Googling a few things, to check on my statement about, very few directors have directed more than 2 or 3 good horror movies. And apparently Clive Barker, we think of him as having done a lot more, but no, actually he only directed 7 movies. Mm-hmm. So, Hellraiser being one of them, of course, that's the important one. And then Chuckles, you would mention Stephen King. Same thing. In other words, now Stephen King, he sold almost everything he wrote to other people so they could screw it up for him. Yeah. But, as far as projects that he was personally involved with, very few. And we won't even mention the new Cujo remake that they're working on.
You just did.
And we will stop mentioning it right there.
Yep.
Yeah. But originally now, besides, we were going to talk about Evil Children. Because you said, last episode, you said that, I scratched the surface, and you had a couple more in mind.
Yeah, there's a
couple
lot
right off
evil
the top
kids.
of your head, though. Like, what comes to you?
Children of the Corn. Like,
yes, there we go. Segues, Children of the Corn. Now, Stephen King wrote a really, really scary short story in his Night Shift collection. So I really enjoyed that. That kept me up at night. The movies, I don't know. I mean, all those sequels I think we can throw in the dumpster.
The sequels, but the first one was awesome. I enjoyed that.
Well, it was fun. It had, what was her name?
You're asking the wrong person for actors and actresses on there.
No. We know this. This was Linda Hamilton. Yes, never could I forget Linda Hamilton after watching her in the Terminator movies. But I think the first Children of the Corn starred Linda Hamilton, if I'm not mistaken, which is reason enough to watch it.
Evil little kids. You wanted to punt them in the head.
You did, but not so much as the Children of the Damned.
Oh,
right?
no.
Those are, if Chuckles should meet those actors in real life, those actors are in trouble. That's how much you hate those kids.
Yeah, they're going to get kicked.
Yeah, let's hope they never arrive at Providence Comic-Con, because if they do, Chuckles the Clown has a machete he wants to use on them.
Yeah, yep, and I'm going to kick you.
And I'll tell you, now, speaking of it, now, we were mentioning Comic-Con on Chuckles' show, and that brings to mind Star Trek, because there's several cast members of Star Trek going to be at Comic-Con.
Yes, there are.
Cross-referencing Star Trek and Evil Kids brings to mind the original. Was that Tony?
Will Wheaton.
Well, yes, we won't even talk about him. He's unholy. But brings to mind the original Star Trek series. If you remember that group of kids with a friendly angel. Does anyone here remember that?
Hold on a second. You're talking Star Trek. I got to take a nap.
Okay, but we're talking about evil kids. And like I say, I'll throw it out there since we don't want to depress Chuckles. But there was a Star Trek episode on the original series, and I can't remember. I think it's called "And the Children Shall Lead." And what it's about is this alien creature on this planet that takes these kids. Well, it's almost like demonic possession, but I guess you would say it's alien influence. And these little group of kids kill their parents, and they're brought aboard the Enterprise, and they try to take over the Enterprise, but of course they're defeated by Captain Kirk. But these are talk about kids you want to punch in the face. If you ever get sick of wanting to punch the Village of the Damned kids or the Children of the Damned kids, check out this Star Trek episode called "And the Children Shall Lead." If you want obnoxious, hateful kids, you want to, I don't know, beam them out into space on widest dispersal. Is that what the Trekkies would say? In other words, use the transporter. Do something to them. Don't rehabilitate them like they did on the show. It was completely unbelievable. All right, we disposed of Star Trek, Chuckles. Don't worry about it.
Thank you.
That's all we're doing with Star Trek.
I was starting to get ready to take a nap.
Okay, well, instead of that, introduce your next evil kid.
I've lost the evil kid. You got me distracted on turkey stuffings, all right?
Are you still dwelling on that goose thing?
He is.
It's funny.
He's in Goose World.
I mean, turkeys or geese, Chuckles. There's a difference here.
Well, they're both funny.
I'd like to at some point make Rhode Island Free Radio a full-time gig, and of course, having a full-time radio station, you'll need a morning show.
Okay.
And I think that this should be the cast for the morning show. Just imagine John Q. Public driving to work in the morning, and we're on the air talking about turkey-related fellatio. Ratings would be huge.
And goose dismemberment.
I'm in. I'm used to being up at 5 a.m. working, so it won't faze me any. Well, I remember at the end you were talking about the girl from The Ring, Samara.
Oh, yes, that's right,
up.
The Ring.
Yeah, I knew that. That's why I asked you again, because I knew there was another one, and and I criticize myself too because